So before I give you a brief tour of the virtual environment, I want to highlight a couple different features of GatherTown that the tutorial didn't touch on yet. So the first, I mentioned that you can customize your avatar and update your name at a later time, and this is a great time to do that. So if you want to change anything about your avatar, the color of your clothing, you want to do a new hairdo, whatever it is, you can see this blue toolbar at the bottom of the screen. I can click on my avatar. When I hover over it, I get a prompt saying change character. So you can go ahead and click that. And this brings up that same window that you saw before. I can customize elements of my clothing, my hair, whatever it is. And then you can click finish editing when you're done. You can also change your name by clicking. As you hover over your name, it'll turn lighter blue. You can click on that to edit your name or your pronouns. And we will also ask that you indicate in this add text status information you'd like to share about yourself. So maybe it's your role at the university, you're looking for a mentor, you're looking for feedback on a project, whatever it is that you would like to indicate to others in the GatherTown space, you can type here. It does cut itself off. It is limited to a certain number of characters, but you can go ahead and enter information that you would like. So I will say that I am an instructional designer and at the TLC. And now you can see that information will come up under my name, and it will also come up on the participants window. So you can see under my name, it now says instructional designer with the TLC. So you can edit that throughout the meeting as you'd like. And you can also play with a number of different settings here, but I will, for now, I'm just going to continue showing you some of the key features. Again, in this toolbar, you have a number of other clickable items. So the first is a mini map. This shows you where you are in the space. And this is a great way to see where you are if you may have gotten lost, or see where you want to go to move around to. You can also, like in Zoom, there are react buttons. So I can indicate a thumbs up or that I have a question by clicking the reaction items here in the toolbar. And as you may have seen above my head, that reaction will come up. So let me do that again. You can now see that it is on my video screen and it came up above my head. So that's a great way to react to something that someone might be saying if you want to do kind of that reaction with a nonverbal reaction. Another thing that is helpful for mostly for our presenters, but it could be helpful to others in the event. The middle button here is share screen. So that works just like it would on Zoom. So I want to also kind of point out a couple different features on the left side of your screen. Here you'll find the people who are in the GatherTown space. So at the time I'm recording this, it is only me, but you will see this populate with individuals who have joined the GatherTown space throughout the event. You can search for particular people as this becomes a long list. I could search for myself, and that will help me find myself in this list. You can also chat with people, and this has a number of different features, including chatting to people who are nearby. If other people were in this space, again, they're not here right now, but I could chat to particular individuals, and I could also chat to everyone in the space. So let me go back. When I say nearby, what I mean is that GatherTown, unlike Zoom, allows you to interact with people in a spatial way. So as you move around the space and come into contact and approach certain individuals, you will have a different ability to communicate with them. So if someone is near me, my video camera will now turn on and I can talk to them. And if I walk away, my camera will disconnect and my microphone will disconnect as well. So that's really important. If you're trying to have a conversation with someone, you need to make sure that you're getting close to them in the GatherTown space. And that if you're having a conversation with someone, if you start walking away, they'll no longer be able to hear you. So you want to keep that in mind. But what that allows us for is to have really dynamic conversations. I can walk around with people and show people things. I can also talk in a small group the way you would if you're walking through a conference and people were having these small group conversations in a hallway. So it's a really unique feature, but you want to make sure that you're cognizant that as you walk away from individuals, you'll no longer be able to communicate unless you use this chat feature. So something else that I'll point out is here in the information board, we will pin the agenda for the event. So you will see that on the event day. You can close this panel to kind of have it not take up as much space by clicking the left pointing arrow at the top right-hand corner of the blue toolbar. So I'm going to do that now, and you'll see that now I have more ability to see the entire GatherTown space on my screen. So now I just want to give a really brief tour for people joining the event. So when you enter the GatherTown space, you will spawn or appear in this lobby area. So we will gather there for the first couple minutes and do a brief tutorial and welcome everyone to the event. And then we will ask that everyone, we will open the room up for a couple minutes of networking and practicing how to move around and how to interact with items. And then the next portion of the event will be held in this little conference room. So this is where we will do our recognition ceremony. And so you can enter the space and you can take a seat. There's nothing you need to do to actually take a seat, but you can hover over a seat and participate in the recognition ceremony. I want to highlight that we've also put the slides, if you would like to view them later or see one of the citations, those can be found at the back of the room. Because this is glowing, I now know that it is an item I can interact with, and so I can click X. And now you'll see the slides for the recognition ceremony, and you can click through these slides much like you would for any other Google Slides. Again, I can close out of this window by clicking the X. So that is the recognition ceremony room. You are free to use that at any time to have conversations, but it is where we will certainly draw everyone to for our recognition ceremony during the event. So the next phase of the event will be small group conversations. And if you're leading a discussion group about an educational research project, please then find the table that you will be assigned. So if I was assigned to table 3, I can go to table 3 and I can take a seat anywhere. We'll ask that all of the discussion leaders find their seat first, and then we will ask that participants of the event take a seat at any table. So now if you are leading discussion, this is a great time for you to get to know the people sitting at your table. You will only, because, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention before, when you enter certain spaces, they're designated as private spaces. So private spaces mean that I will only be able to connect video and audio to people who are sitting in that private space with me or standing in that private space with me. So this is a really great tool for facilitating small group discussions, because it means that people who are walking around or at other tables we won't be connecting to them directly. We can talk to them later. That's great. But for now, we want to keep that kind of like a breakout room in Zoom. So that's what the private features allow for, or private spaces, I'm sorry. So this also means that if you share your screen to facilitate your discussion, you will be sharing your screen with individuals in the private space and not with the full group, which would get confusing if 8 people are trying to share their screens and talk about different research projects. So again, people will find their way to this private space, and you can engage in a 15-minute small group discussion about different research projects. So then after that, we will open the space to an open house. And this is a time for people to explore, walk around, have conversations, network, but we will also have representatives from a number of research support teams around campus available to answer questions. And so we will ask that they find their way to the rugs that correspond to their team. We have created these rugs to also be private spaces. So if I have a question for the IRB team, I can walk to this carpet and ask my question to them, but people around me won't necessarily, if they're in the space with me, they'll hear my question, but if they're outside of the rug, they will not hear that question. So that is a more individual conversation, much like a breakout room would be in Zoom. So I want to also highlight a number of features around the GatherTown space. We've created a whiteboard where you can provide us feedback. We'd love to hear your feedback about the event. You can, we've already got a comment here, that's great. But you can use this whiteboard to share your feedback with us. We'd really appreciate if you would do that. I also want to highlight that we have created a patio space. So if you follow this white arrow, you will be portaled to a new room that's a little outdoor patio, and it has a number of features you can explore, including other private spaces. So here there's private space around the koi pond. And I do want to note, you don't have to sit on the little cushion. You can certainly stand on it, but you can stand anywhere in the private space and being engaged in that conversation. We have created a little private space around this board game, and you can open the board game and play this with some of your colleagues. You can do this by, if you're the first person, you can create a new game, and this will give you, do that right now. This will give you a code. You want to share that code. If I click out, you want to share that code with others who want to play with you, and you would enter that 4-digit code. Oops, now I've forgotten what it was, but you can put that here, and that will allow you to all play the same game together. You can also sit around this patio or this fire pit. You'll hear the fire pit noise come through if you have headphones in or your speakers are turned on. Again, you don't have to sit in a chair. You can stand anywhere in the private space. And lastly, there is actually a piano, and you can play music collaboratively. You can interact with this piano, and it doesn't seem to want to. There it is. Okay, so now I can play this piano, and if it'll load. Being a little slow today, but a piano will come up here if that is something you're interested in. So I'm going to go back to the main space by following the white arrow through these doors. And now again, I have portaled back into the main space. So that is a very brief tour of the space and some of its features, but we hope this is helpful for you to get to kind of know what to expect. And we will, as I mentioned, provide another overview on the day of the event when everyone has gathered in this lobby. So we look forward to seeing you soon. Please let us know if you have questions or comments or concerns, and we will help you address your issues. Thank you so much.